All right, let's jump right into this explainer and discover exactly how a novice apprentice can rise up and become the sovereign of balance in the deeply strategic card game, Elematiks. Look, if you're into games that beautifully mash up resource management, engine building, and straight-up elemental combat, you're in exactly the right place. Today, we're unpacking the core mechanics, how these systems interlock, and most importantly, how you can secure that victory.
So what does it actually take to win? It all comes down to a single magic number, 15. Forget about tallying up some complex web of victory points at the end of the game. In Elematiks, you need to obtain exactly 15 shards to win in Reign over Nexus. Literally every single thing you do, every spell you cast, every element you drop on the board is a stepping stone toward hitting that 15 before your opponents do. Or, before the Chaos deck runs out if you're playing solo.
To get you to those 15 shards, we're going to cover 1. The Sovereign's Goal, 2. Setting up the elements, 3. Navigating the Chaos turn, 4. Taking action and casting, 5. Mastering the alchemy phase, and 6. Merging to claim victory. Let's get into it.
Section 1. The Sovereign's Goal, Becoming the Balance.
Okay, take a look at the battlefield here where all the magic actually goes down. The layout is basically split into two main zones. First, you have the player area right in front of you. This is your personal dashboard where you track your affinity and your vital resources. Then, right in the center, we have the common field. Think of this as the shared arena. It features 5 distinct play areas, and this is where you and your opponents will be aggressively competing to build out and merge your elemental chains.
I actually love this quote from the game's lore because it perfectly sets the stage for what we're doing. Only those who master the elements, adapt to adversity, and preserve balance will prove themselves worthy to one day stand among the candidates destined to inherit the mantle of the Sovereign of Balance. It's a great reminder that you aren't just randomly throwing cards down. You're manipulating these raw, primal forces in a highly volatile environment.
Section 2. Setting up the elements. Preparing for your trial.
Getting the game set up is super streamlined, which is always a plus. Step 1, choose your elemental affinity, so that's fire, water, earth, wood, or metal, and just set your affinity dice to 1. Step 2, shuffle the deck and deal out 5 cards to each player. Now here's a critical pro tip. If your starting hand of 5 cards doesn't have at least one element or crystal card, you actually have to reveal it, stick it at the bottom of the deck, and draw 5 fresh ones. You absolutely need those building blocks to get moving. Finally, just place the rest of the deck in the center to form the stack and figure out who's going first.
Now let's talk about the single most important thing sitting in your player area, your affinity dice. Listen, this is not for rolling. It's a tracker for your alchemy points, or AP. Think of AP as the absolute lifeblood of your strategy. It dictates your purchasing power and how many cards you can actually get onto the field. For example, you have to build up to at least 3 AP just to start buying new cards from the main stack on your turn. If you manage your AP poorly, your turn is going to stall out, guaranteed.
Section 3. Navigating the Chaos turn, surviving the solo trial.
If you're running the solo variant of Elematiks, you're going to have to deal with the Chaos turn. This hits at the start of the round, before you even get to lift a finger. The game is essentially playing against you, flipping a card from the Chaos stack. It might drop nasty catastrophic cards just to block your moves, or it might roll the crystal dice to randomly dump elements onto the common field. Why does this matter so much? Because it forces you to stay completely adaptable. It can aggressively ruin your carefully crafted plans before you've even drawn a card. You always need a backup plan.
Section 4. Taking action and casting. Your turn explained. Okay, let's break down your actual turn. It's built on a highly structured 3-phase sequence. First up is the draw phase. You clear out any catastrophic cards you used defensively on the previous turn, and you draw exactly 1 card from the top of the stack. Next is the act phase. This is where the real fireworks happen. You cast spells, spend that hard-earned AP to buy more cards, and deploy your own catastrophic cards. Finally, the alchemy phase. This is where you shape the common field by placing, linking, enriching, merging, or crafting elements. Following this sequence builds incredible momentum. Oh, and keep an eye on your hand size. At the end of your turn, if you're holding more than 5 cards, you've got to discard down to that limit.
Let's zoom in on that act phase for a second. You basically have 2 totally different tools at your disposal here, spells and catastrophic cards. Think of spells as your offensive engine. You can play an unlimited number of them consecutively. If your hand is set up right, you can chain them together for massive combos that give you a wild advantage. On the flip side, catastrophic cards are your defensive shields. You deploy these to totally shut down your opponent's progress, like stopping them from playing a specific element on their next turn, or aggressively wiping out an opponent's card that's already in play. And speaking of defense, this table right here, it's your best friend. Every element has a specific disaster that totally counters it. Want to shut down a metal play? You need a collapse card. Watching your opponent build a massive fire chain? Boom, drop a wildfire to lock out fire elements for an entire turn. Memorizing these matchups, like washing away a water play with a tsunami, or an earth play with a quake, or a wood play with an uproot, is absolutely crucial to controlling the board and suffocating whatever strategy your opponent is trying to build.
Section 5. Mastering the Alchemy Phase. Building Elemental Power.
All right, let's get into the real meat of your strategy, the alchemy actions. This is your engine builder. During your alchemy phase, you have a few options. You can start by dropping the very first element into an empty field, which immediately scores you some AP. You can link by adding an element to the left or right of a card that's already there. Just make sure you follow the cycle. You know, fire goes right to earth, wood goes left to fire, all that. Or you can enrich an element by stacking a card of the same element right on top of it to buff its power. Every legal placement generates AP, bumping up that tracker.
Section 6. Merging to claim victory. The final step.
So how does all this careful linking and enchanting actually win you the game? It comes down to an action called a merge. To pull off a merge during your alchemy phase, you have to successfully complete a single field in the common area with all 5 of the primal elements: fire, water, earth, wood, and metal. All 5 have to be sitting there, linked correctly in one of those 5 play areas.
When you successfully execute a merge, you cash in big time. You instantly gain shards equal to the total number of elements in that completed field. Now, remember our target from the very beginning? 15 shards? Well, here is where your early game choices really pay off. You get a massive bonus of 2 extra shards if the merge is completed using the element that matches your chosen affinity. That 2-shard swing is constantly the difference between losing a close game and claiming total victory. Once you merge, the field is cleared out, your AP drops back down to 1, and the race starts all over again.
And that is the core loop of Elematiks. You're constantly walking a tightrope, balancing your hand limit, hoarding your alchemy points, building offensive element chains, and timing your catastrophes perfectly on defense, all in a mad dash for 15 shards. So, the real question is, gather your cards, track your AP, plan those merges. Do you have the wisdom to become the sovereign of balance, or will the chaos just consume you first?